Now, typically, when you think quake, you usually don't think, dinosaurs and mammoths. As while the title of the video, if I still haven't really thought of it, but uh, well, when you think, prehistoric animals, most people typically think dinosaurs, and at least in my opinion, I think prehistoric animals like, mammoths, dinosaurs, various prehistoric mammals, giant bugs, things of that nature could do pretty well in Quake amongst its various rosters of enemies. I'm getting all mixed up, but you know, which when I say prehistoric animals, I should really clarify. I don't mean modern depictions of dinosaurs and I guess prehistoric mammals as well. Basically, the kind of creatures I'm talking about, adding into them, through mods into Quake, they aren't really modern depictions of dinosaurs. If you want a great idea of my idea of a Quake dinosaur, uh, look at stuff like Dino Crisis, not Dinosaur Hunter, uh, Dino Crisis, as well as the Carnivores franchise, specifically the original trilogy, and with the Dino Crisis, specifically the first two games. Uh, the giant lizards, uh, you know, monstrous things. Uh, as well, I think prehistoric mammals definitely should be amongst that. Mammoths, definitely. Uh, Saber-toothed cats, creatures like that. And, hell, that and cavemen amongst that as alternatives to the Death Knights and stuff. But the big reason I think, not just prehistoric animals, but combined prehistoric animals uh, with like naturalistic environments, haunted jungles, uh, desolate, mountains, things like that. Hell, maybe even throw a Tyrannosaurus into a castle or two. Uh, though outside of the sort of naturalistic environments, I would keep them to a minimum. However, or well, really just add them in with other enemies. However, when it comes to my idea of environments that said animals could be in, the naturalistic variety comes to mind. And the big reason, well, I say naturalistic. My idea for a dinosaur map, or really more of a prehistoric map, essentially is, stuff like, the Nameless City of Lovecraft. I believe it's the name of it. Where you had this race of beings that, colonized the Earth during, like, the Cretaceous, and stuff like that. Deep time and things like that. I think could work very well with Lovecraft, for obvious reasons. But, case in point, you have like a haunted temple, jungle temple. But instead of it being a human temple, it's some kind of alien temple, and you're coming up to it, you're fighting through the jungle. Hell, maybe make it a multi-level pack, where you're fighting through the jungle, fighting various animals, various dinosaurs, and you get into the temple, and then you mix the dinosaurs with the various Lovecraftian enemies, the shamblers, vores, and various critters, among other beings, because, you know, well, I'll talk about it in another video, but I think more Lovecraftian enemies would be quite nice. In particular, aquatic enemies, seeing as the painful lack of, you know, uh, water-based enemies and aquatic maps, especially ones that use the scuba diving power-up. but all that's, a different time. Uh, yeah, basically, my sort of uh, vision of a prehistoric enemy and level pack would basically be creatures like from, dinosaurs from like the carnivores franchise, and I guess prehistoric mammals as well. I would like them. Uh, would be essentially to have this sort of deep, deep time, because Quake sort of always had that sort of traveling through space and time feel. And I think not only, I've talked about how I think having historical levels would be nice. Well, to add in with the historical map or historical levels, I would include, you know, you went too far back, son. You went too far back in time, sort of situations. And basically, you know, Quake's enemies are nice and all, but when it comes to, you know, deep time and time travel and all that, I mean, you can't get much better than dinosaurs, among other things. And more specifically, when having dinosaurs and other things, uh, I don't think they should be modern depictions. Essentially, you know, uh, really the old school, giant monstrous lizards, primordial beasts of a dark time sort of situation. Your antediluvian monsters sort of view of dinosaurs. Uh, of the two games I've given examples of what I think the art style for said dinosaurs should be like, as well with the levels, I think the Carnivores franchise is the one I would choose to have heavier, you know, influences. And, you know, it would be nice to flesh out the roster a little more, as well with having varieties of maps you typically don't see. I've not exactly looked through the mods, but I have looked up mods on YouTube and looked through many maps, and you generally don't see stuff like traveling back. Stuff like your time machine esque stuff. With like that fun fucking SpongeBob episode, except a little more violent, I guess. But when it comes to it, and there are ways I think you could implement, various dinosaurs. The Tyrannosaurus, I think, would be, well, big, monstrous creature. Maybe make it to where he can like eat human-sized or like ogre-sized bodies for health, as well. Give it an AOE effect. Maybe make it throw fucking corpses and living enemies around. Give it a lot of health, damage resistance. You do a mammoth, make it, tough, but hell, maybe make its like main threat be it tossing you around more so than its direct damage, which make it do a lot of damage. But say stick a mammoth on like a precarious ledge, and have it in a very small space, so that if you get hit, it's just gonna sling you off, and stuff like that. I guess raptors could be slightly slower, slightly tougher versions of fiends. You know, there are things, and not all of them need to be necessarily unique. You know, I would just prefer to have them in the game, period. Through mods, of course. But Yeah, I think they would be very nice enemies to include amongst the roster of Quake's various creatures and beings. I guess, include with that, some demons. Hell, I would like Doom's entire roster to be or most of it to be ported into Quake. Maybe those voxel-based Quake, enemies could be updated at some point and ported over. You know, a Tyrannosaurus versus Baron of Hell would be pretty, well, probably wouldn't be very fair of a matchup on the Baron's end, but it would be interesting. You get demonic dinosaur, battles, or you have fucking I guess barons versus dinosaurs, stuff, various stuff like that. Of which well, there's already satanic imagery in the game. It would be nice to have enemies that are representative of that as well. I personally think having sort of deep time enemies, you have your time travel, but you don't have deep time travel, you know what I mean? Though I guess I'm rambling on at this point. However, if someone wants to try out a mod or try to mod in such things, I would definitely choose carnivores as an artistic framework, I guess you could say, for the creatures, as well with designs for maps. I might talk about carnivores one day. A very nice series. I like it quite a bit, but I guess look out for such things among other videos. I guess I'll see you later.